Timothy takes a tumble. Christmas was fast approaching on the island, and as you can imagine, everyone was very busy. There were some places though that would be closing for the winter soon. Places such as the clay pits. The China clay crew were working hard to get their work done before the clay pits closed down for the winter. One day, Edward brought Bruno the brake van to help out at the clay pits. "Hello, Edward," said Marion. "Is that Bruno the autistic brake van?" "Yep," said Edward. "He's going to help control heavy trains that are brought out of the clay pits." Bill, Ben, Timothy, and Marion were grateful to have an extra brake van at the clay pits. They had been wanting to meet Bruno for some time, but they had never gotten the chance to. The next day, a large shipment of clay needed to be taken to the docks. Timothy shunted Bruno to the end of the line so that the trucks could be coupled up to him. Bill and Ben helped Timothy shunt the train in place, but the train was very long to their surprise. Bill, Ben, and Timothy had never pulled a train this long before. Unfortunately, the shipment of coal for the clay pits was delayed, so Marion and Bill and Ben couldn't help Timothy pull the train for fear they would run out of coal. Meanwhile, an engine from the mainland was taking some equipment to the clay pits. When the engine arrived, he was disgusted by all the dirt and dust floating around the clay pits. "Oh, bust my buffers. This place is too dirty for my liking," he said. "What kind of engine would enjoy working here?" "Excuse me," said Timothy. "Oh, here's your equipment that your manager asked for," said the engine. "Not like it'll be used before winter comes, though. So, pretty much a waste of my time if you ask me." Timothy looked at the engine's full tender of coal. "If you don't have anything to do at the moment," said Timothy, "do you think you could help me out here? This train of clay needs to go to the docks right away, but it's too long for me to pull on my own." Let me think about it," said the engine. "Okay, I thought about it. The answer is no." "Well, that's not very nice," said Marion. "I can't help Timothy because I'm low on coal, and so are Bill and Ben. You're the only engine available who could help us get this train to the docks on time." "So this engine's name is Timothy," said the mainland engine. "Looks a little too tiny to be a useful engine." "I might be tiny, but I'm a very useful engine," said Timothy crossly. "If you were a useful engine," said the big green engine, "you wouldn't need any help pulling this long train." "I'll show you I don't need help," said Timothy. "Okay then," said the engine. "You can show them, but not me, because I'm out of here." And he puffed away. Bill, Ben, and Marion were shocked, but before they could say anything, Timothy coupled to the long train and slowly began to pull it out of the clay pits. It was very long and very heavy, but Timothy was determined to prove how useful he was. Bruno gulped nervously as Timothy pulled the train away. At first, Timothy had the long train under control, but he had reckoned without the hill. There was a big, steep hill down the line, and shortly beyond it was a bridge. Because of the short distance between the two slopes, Sir Topham Hatt had put a limit on how many trucks could be pulled down the line. He feared that if too many trucks were taken, the train could lose control and have an accident when going down the big hill. Unfortunately, Timothy had forgotten about this. Nearby, Thomas was pulling a train of pipes. He was shocked to see Timothy pulling such a long train. Timothy soon made it to the top. "Brakes guard, please," he called as he began to go down, but the train was so long that Bruno couldn't hear Timothy. To make matters worse, the trucks were in the mood to cause some trouble, and they surged forward. On, they cried. Timothy quickly lost control. As Timothy came up the hill and rounded the bend, his front wheels began to slip off the tracks. "Oh no," cried Timothy. Straight up ahead was the quarry mine tunnel. Timothy shut his eyes. His front end hit the tunnel at full speed and he flew off the track. Thomas watched in horror as Timothy crashed to the ground and tumbled end over end. He then finally stopped next to a building by Boulder Mountain. As Thomas descended down his bridge, Timothy's train went flying off the track and piled up heavily. As the last few cars flew off the track, Bruno was thrown from the rails and flew towards Boulder Mountain. As Thomas approached Boulder Mountain, Timothy began to tip over. He hit the building, which fell down on top of Thomas. Thomas came to a stop. Then Bruno came crashing to the ground. He tumbled end over end as well. And he smashed hard into the side of Boulder Mountain. The impact shook the foundation, and Boulder fell from his perch and crashed into Thomas. He hit Thomas so hard that Thomas's front end was lifted into the air. He flipped backwards and knocked the top of the bridge over. And he crashed to the ground, bringing his train of flatbeds with him. The mess that followed was absolutely terrible. Trucks lay everywhere, the tracks were blocked or broken, and Thomas, Bruno, and Timothy were in heavy damage. The cleanup crew soon arrived and quickly set to work. Engines and cranes were working in every area of the accident, doing their best to clean things up as quick as they could. But there was no stopping the fact that there were going to be delays for the rest of the day. Sir Topham Hatt spoke to Timothy. "Why were you taking all of those trucks at once?" asked Sir Topham Hatt. "You should have split the train with another engine or had another engine help you pull it." "I tried to get this mainland engine to help me pull it," said Timothy, "but he refused." Sir Topham Hatt realized that Timothy wasn't completely at fault. He soon found the engine having a washdown near Vigarstown, and he reprimanded the engine severely. "Dirty work or not," said Sir Topham Hatt, "I expect engines that come from the mainland to help my engines when they need help. The accident caused by your laziness will take a long time to clean up, and the engines and rolling stock will need serious repairs. I'm sure your controller will have a few stern words to say to you as well," said Sir Topham Hatt, and he walked away. The engine snorted. He would soon see the error of his ways, however, but that's another story.